He was so
I
great.
think it's also because it's like a lot of the people that did Captain Planet, felt like they really were contributing, like they were doing something really important.
Oh yeah.
It's like, dude, you were Carl Fredrickson. He's like, yeah, but the only reason global warming hasn't happened is because of Captain Planet.
Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Hey,
Hey, I've
what's up,
lost a
man?
couple.
You have? The ones I saw, you fucking destroyed the other person in, and it always was amazing,
Well,
dude.
I'm glad those are the ones you saw. No, I've lost the yeah. I mean, it's roast battle.
Yeah, of
You
course.
win some, you lose some. I mean, I won the televised tournament where they were giving money, so I won when it counted.
Yeah.
That's the one that counts.
Absolutely. Did you start doing those like early on when you were doing comedy and stuff, or did you just do it like when they started doing roast battle in LA?
No, I mean it was like I started in 2005,
Oh wow.
so I started to hear about it, and the first one I did was in 2014
Oh nice.
against Bonnie McFarlane at the New York Comedy Fest, and it was like, yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah,
And
she is.
it was so fun, and it was just like you couldn't do it with like a better comic and a better writer, and then it's like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then when I would visit LA, I would judge and stuff like that, and then
Mm.
Jason Reitman did like a documentary about roast battle,
Right.
and I battled Annie Letterman in that,
Oh
who's
my
a
God.
good friend of mine. So it was just yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and then yeah, the TV show happened, and I was in the tournament, and thankfully won. But that's 5 years ago, so
Yeah.
still coasting on that. No,
Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. I remember that Jason Reitman did a documentary on it, which I thought was so fucking cool. And then I was like, why isn't he doing a Ghostbusters movie? And now he's doing a Ghostbusters movie. So that's great.
yeah.
Comes full circle. How have you been like pandemic wise, man? You doing okay? Did you hold up okay during it?
I'm doing all right. It's stressful. I know it is for everybody.
Mm.
It's funny because I started taking antidepressants at the end of 2019,
Oh.
and I haven't killed myself, so I guess they're working.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, that's a good sign.
I'm still depressed,
Yeah.
but I'm alive, and it's like
Right.
maybe that's why. I don't know. Also the love of my wife and my dog, but no, it's
Yeah. You're like they're here too, but
which ironically, my dog is named Bupropion, and my wife is named Zoloft, so it kind of works out.
Now I'm questioning whether they're even real.
They are. They are.
That's great. Oh man. Yeah, it's weird when you take that kind of stuff and you're like, I still feel sad, but also I guess I'm less motivated to do anything horrible to me. So is that the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah. I mean, just it's like you're moving forward and all that, and but
Yeah.
I also don't know if it has made me lazier because like I've been less like career obsessive and all of that, and less like industry minded, and
Nice.
that definitely has to be because of the antidepressants. But is it harmful? I don't know, but
Right.
I'm less sad, so that's good.
Yeah, that is really good. Yeah. I mean, when I was there was a huge I mean, I've always dealt with depression too, like, in different ways or whatever, and there was a bout of it that was like really fucking horrible. And I remember thinking like, yeah, I was close to doing it, and I remember believing like I don't think I killed myself because I just procrastinate too hard. Like my
Yeah,
reason like, you know what I mean? I'd be like, "Oh, it's already 10:30. I didn't do it yet, and maybe I'll take a fistful of pills tomorrow."
yeah. It's funny because I binged The Sopranos for the first time. I'd never seen
Oh,
it,
wow.
Oh
and
shit.
there's that one scene, I think it's season 6, that I won't spoil it, I guess, but where
If they haven't seen
there's
it
a
by now,
guy
you're right.
Go
that
for it.
There's a guy that hangs himself, right? And I won't
Yeah.
say it, but he hangs himself, and they just show like the full like detail of that and how awkward it feels and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, that takes a lot.
Yeah.
And then later in the season, another character tries to kill themselves and they can't. Like they fail.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is awkward to like to when you think about I don't know. I always wonder like, if somebody goes to go through with it and they think of it and they're hanging there, in those last moments, like, are they like, fuck, I made a terrible decision? Or they're like, this feels right.
Who knows? I mean,
It's
I'm
weird.
sure it's been both, and
Yeah.
it's
Well, because the ones that always survive it are always like, oh my God, I was so like, I'm so glad I did. It was the worst decision I ever made, yada, yada, yada. But then the ones who, obviously don't, you don't know.
yeah. Well, they survived, and they're like, I finally got the attention I was seeking. Phew. All I had to do was almost kill myself.
How shitty must it be if you're like like standing on the edge of a bridge but no one's stopping? Are you like, really? Nobody? Like you weren't
Yeah,
really thinking of doing it before, but now you're like, fuck it, I guess I must.
I had this friend in high school who he tried it with the ceiling fan, but he was so fat that the fan just like fell.
Oh my God. How did he
That's the
feel
thing
that?
too. It's like it's got to be really sturdy and all. I mean, I should not be talking about this because the more I'm talking, the more thought it seems like I've put into it, which is
Oh
a
my
lot.
God.
But
Please, we had the Ed Asner's last interview. Let's not let it be yours too, okay? Like I don't want
okay.
to. Like he was at least he was 91. If this is yours, then they're going to accuse me.
He
And
he voiced Hoggish Greedley. I just look like him.
I love it, dude. He did the snort and everything actually on the show. It was
Nice.
crazy. I didn't even ask him. I was like, oh, like you voiced a lot of characters, and he just blurted out Hoggish Greedley and then did the whole thing. And I was like, I love this man. He was so
I
great.
think it's also because it's like a lot of the people that did Captain Planet, felt like they really were contributing, like they were doing something really important.
Oh yeah.
It's like, dude, you were Carl Fredrickson. He's like, yeah, but the only reason global warming hasn't happened is because of Captain Planet.
You're right. Actually, all those people, even Whoopi, has that aura
Yeah,
about
Whoopi's in
them.
there and LeVar
Yeah.
Burton, and
Oh, so many people. I don't remember. You know what's crazy though? I don't even know like if the kids like coming up have anything like that, but I distinctly remember a shit ton of Earth Day stuff,
yeah.
Captain Planet shit. And do you remember? I feel like no one remembers this, but you might. There was a cartoon where literally every cartoon character got together.
Oh, it's called Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue, baby.
That's it, dude. I fucking could never remember the name of it, but that's it. And they all try to convince this kid not to smoke or do drugs. Yeah.
That thing was fucking mind blowing. And it's funny because like, there's that iconic scene in Roger Rabbit of Donald and Daffy. And it's like beautifully animated and all that.
Yeah.
But then here's the Saturday morning like cheap ass version with Alf and the Muppet Babies. And I think it's only Michelangelo was there, none of the other turtles.
None of the other turtles.
Yeah.
Just Michelangelo eating a pizza.
Yeah.
And Garfield was the alarm clock, which freaked me the fuck out because he was never supposed like it was still the Garfield cartoon, but he just like came down from the alarm clock position he was in and tried to help him out. It was weird.
Oh man, I'm looking this up now and just I mean, this was like a big fucking event.
Yeah, this was huge for me. I was like, this is amazing. And I mean, I don't know if it actually kept me off of anything in particular, but I didn't do anything for a long time.
Dude, so you had Alf, you had Alvin and Simon, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, just Michelangelo,
right,
Theodore. So you got all the chipmunks, but one fucking turtle,
right?
Brainy Smurf, Papa Smurf. Oh, you get Slimer. Slimer was there.
Oh, nice.
Some of the Muppet Babies. So Baby Miss Piggy. Baby
were the
Gonzo.
Snorks there?
What's that?
So were the Snorks there?
I don't think the Snorks were there. I think they would have died because they need water.
You got a good point.
But Huey, Dewey, and Louie were.
Oh, nice. That's pretty great. Yeah, that was
nuts.
That's
a pretty big cast.
Yeah. I remember all that stuff, and they don't have anything. Like, I don't know what's keeping people from doing shit today, but it's not cartoons.
Yeah. I think it's all the people they've seen die who didn't watch those cartoons.
Oh
You
God,
know what's
that's
funny though?
great.
It's like I watched those cartoons and I like followed them. Like I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, you know, and I was
Same.
like, yeah, because fucking if it's important enough for Michelangelo and Brainy Smurf to get together, then it must mean something.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. All the Earth Day stuff worked on me. I was like an ass to anybody who littered. I was like, "What's your problem?" Like I'm like, "Didn't you see all the superstars of NBC must see TV get together?"
I used to have a bit where I was like, when I was a kid, I thought that Notorious B.I.G. was saying Earth days are the worst days. And he's just, just has a bunch of styrofoam.
Holy shit, that's great. Was there what got you into like comic books and stuff?
I can't remember when I wasn't into them. I mean, my dad loves them. That was cool because it's like, he didn't like fully shepherd me in, but he like waited for me to get there, and then he's like, "Come with me," and he got like really excited and because he loves like Daredevil and the Silver Surfer were like his
Nice.
his two big characters, and those are like, especially back then. This is like late '80s. Before the movies, the properties, and all that shit.
Yeah.
You had the Spider-Man cartoon, and Firestar was a bigger deal than
And his Amazing Friends, yeah.
Yeah.
than Thor. But it was like he would he showed me some of that stuff, and he was reading like some of the current stuff. I remember there's like an Ann Nocenti, John Romita Jr. Story arc where Daredevil meets with Silver Surfer and they go into hell together.
Oh, nice.
And fight like Mephisto and Blackheart and all that stuff, and that was awesome.
Right.
It was like Daredevil versus the actual devil.
I remember that, dude. I
Yeah, it
remember
was
that
awesome.
one. Yeah.
And my dad was reading that, and he would read some Batman and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'd say like, and I think this is a gateway for a lot of people. But the cards, the Marvel cards were big. I love those Joe Jusko Marvel masterpieces.
Me too. I have those, yeah.
And yeah, so it was definitely that. And then, I was born in '83, so it was like '92 was X-Men the animated series and Batman the animated series.
Yep. Right there with you, man. I was born in 84.
So then it's like, once that happens, yeah, there's a point of no return.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched my dad used to watch. I mean, he would watch anything on TV. He loved action stuff. He wasn't really into like superhero stuff. He's into more sports, but I never got into sports. But he would watch The Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby, doing that, and also the oh my god, what's the fuck's his name? Hammond, something.
Nicholas Hammond,
Nicholas
Spider-Man?
Hammond, Spider-Man, yeah. And that blew me the fuck away. Like that shit. I think. Oh, and the Captain America movie where his shield's on the front of his motorcycle, like flapping in the wind, and meanwhile it's knocking bad guys down. I watched that. That was ridiculous. Even as a kid, I was like, "How did it bend in the wind?" And my dad was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, but you took whatever you could get, and it was
absolutely,
just like, and you held on to it. I had a VHS copy of one episode of Spider-Man His Amazing Friends called 7 Little Superheroes.
Yep.
And it had like Submariner and Doctor Strange, and obviously Iceman and Firestar and Shauna the She-Devil, and I think Captain America, and the Chameleon had kidnapped them, and it's like, they're all here.
Yeah. I remember that too, man. I had I used to love that they that like almost every other, like Submariner, Doctor Strange, even the Juggernaut in one of the episodes. I don't know if they were all voiced by the same dude, but they all had that reverb where they would be like, "And now the amazing," and it would just be like, and I'm like, they're all the same guy. But I had I hated that they couldn't get Wolverine's voice right, because I didn't see those really until I had the X-Men '92, and in my head it was just Cal Dodd from that point on. And then I would watch like the Pride of the. Actually, I think I saw Pride of the X-Men first, but he was Australian, and that blew me away. I was like, I don't understand what happened.
He's Australian, and when he makes an appearance in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends,
That's
and then
right.
it's like, and then Hugh Jackman ends up playing him, so they knew something.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we know we're living in a simulation. It all it all bleeds through. Did you have like like an intro like into comedy the same way you had into like did your dad love comedy and comedians too? And it kind
No,
of
my mom was a stand-up.
oh, get the fuck out of here! I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Holy
Wow.
shit, that's awesome.
yeah. So she did stand-up, and like late '80s, early '90s in South Florida, and
Wow.
and some of her friends, still do it and stuff. Like she's really good friends with this really funny guy Tom Ryan, who I know just opened for Gary Goldman at Carnegie Hall and all that.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's and he was really nice to me when I started, and so yeah, that's how like I did slam poetry. I did like stupid shit. I worked at McDonald's and wrote poems on the back of receipt paper. Is how I got into performing.
That's awesome.
So nothing but shame.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, yeah, there's no money in poetry. There's no glory in it either.
No,
I
yeah.
was like, screw it. I'm gonna do stand up. So I started doing that.
Sweet. Do you remember your first gig?
Yeah. It was at a place called the Chocolate Moose. It was just this open mic, and it was a place where I'd been doing poetry for like a couple years.
Wow.
So then I just decided to do jokes, and I remember like the waitress was like really offended, and she'd never said anything about my poems, and I was like, wow, this is so different.
It's a rush.
Yeah.
I think we started the same year then. You said you started in 2005?
Yeah.
So did I. See, I feel like we had to run into each other at some point. I just probably don't, I don't know. I don't remember anything anymore. I think I'm like going brain literally almost every episode of the show. I'm like, I try to say something or somebody asks me a question and I'm like, oh, yeah, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm having a stroke on air.
We get a special Alzheimer's grant for working with John, so it's okay.
Yeah, we're trying to go for the gold there. But I did, I think my first show, I took a comedy class because I didn't even think about doing an open mic first. And so I know you're not ever supposed to say that in comedy either, but I did. I took a comedy class and did Caroline's, and it was good. I had like a good first set, and then I bombed like straight through the next five, whatever. Like, I don't know if you have the same experience, but when you have like a good set when you're younger, and you're like, oh, this is it, I know how to do it, and then you just fucking eat it for the rest of time.
Well, those comedy classes too, they're like, we got your money.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. And then they just send you out there. It's fucking it's insane. What was did you have any intention of like kind of going out on the road, making a career of it? Did you know immediately that this is what you wanted, or were you like, I'm gonna dabble, and if whatever, I'm gonna get out?
I think like I started at the end of November 2005, and I was in college, and I was working McDonald's like 5 days a week, but I was in college the other two. And I remember talking to, my mom, and I think that's where it really helped of having like, someone that had been doing it, where she was just like, just get the degree,
right?
And I think that was it. Of like, she believed in me and supported me, and so did my dad. Like they're like, go do this, and
nice.
But yeah, graduate first because you've already put so much into this. So I did, because I was going to be a teacher. And then I ended up going to just getting my English degree, which I've never gotten any formal jobs from. I've never shown my degree to someone as a way job, but that's what you're told to do. So I did it. And then I moved to New York with like $2,000, which does not last long. Even in 2007, when I moved money, it burns out pretty fast. It's funny. I was living. My cousin was like, "There's a vacancy because Rip Torn's daughter was supposed to be their third roommate. Her and her friend, and she like backed out at the last minute, I think. And so I got the room, and I guess like Rip Torn had already bought a bed, but didn't ask for it back. So I'm just like sleeping on. Oh, I hope you like that bed. Hope it's very nice and soft for you. So I have to thank Rip Torn.
Wow.
for not sleeping on a floor. But yeah, man, I struggle to get like a real job, and then I was working at this like hot dog place in St. Mark's, and I would run to open mics while I was on shift. I was in the
Oh my
Lower East
God.
Side, and I would run to the West Side, and then back. I'd go to like the Village Lantern and shit,
Holy
and
shit.
out of breath with my apron. And I would just tell like it would be like two of us working, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom for 40 minutes. But then once I was honest with like the other employee, it was just like, don't get caught by the boss kind of thing, and I didn't. And it was like this weird place where I'm pretty sure it was a mob front because the way we get paid was just like, all right, just take this much out of the register.
Yeah, they had to launder money somehow, so they were just giving you extra money for literally doing no work.
Yeah, I mean, it was like there'd be like some okay nights, but
yeah,
it's like that area is pretty snobby and all that, and it's like there was that place like Griff Dog, which has like the little bar and everything, and we were just hot dogs without a bar, and so like, no, I want sexiness with my hot dogs.
It's a great name for a place. Yeah, yeah.
I don't eat these while I'm sober.
What a great name for a place. Hot dogs without a bar would be like a great place to open up as a joke.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. So you would run out and do that kind of shit. I was always like, I liked kind of meshing the comedy and the comic stuff like that, but I feel like it took me a little time to get to like, being able to talk about it. Did you do that right away, like right off the bat?
Some of it, yeah. One of like the first jokes I had that worked was I always wanted to be Batman, not because of the gadgets or anything. I just wanted my fucking parents dead. And that was a joke that like that made me want to stay in comedy because it made me laugh too.
Yeah,
and
that's a great joke.
It was funny. It was like I remember, like that's such a funny thing. My mom watching a set, and she's like, "Why do you hate us?" She's like, "Why do you want me dead?" I'm like, it's fucking.
Yeah, you're like, you're a comic. You should.
I wear this pearl necklace and go down the alley.
Do you remember like a kid at all? Like, do you remember like asking your mom about comedy? Were you interested in it at all? Oh, okay, cool. Did you go to see her perform?
I mean, one of the things I remember was I went to this gig of hers. It was like at this like steak restaurant on like a Thursday night, and it was like, that's the thing is that like if your parent does something, then you know what it actually is and not what it's supposed to be.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
And which is healthy. I mean, because that's the thing. Like, you could take these. You could take a class on anything, but no one's going to teach you the sadness. I mean, no one's going to teach you like how to struggle properly and shit like that. And so, yeah. But I saw her and. At this restaurant, and one of the openers was like one of my substitute teachers.
Oh my god!
And it was so funny because like like one of the bits he was doing was a bit he'd done in class, and I knew nothing about comedy, but I'm like, that's fucking lame. And I remember like I made fun of him, and he ratted me out to my mom.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
what a fucking douche!
It's like someone thinks they're a comedian. I'm like. Yeah, the only one in this room.
Oh, amazing. Do you remember any of your mom's stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she would talk about, her mom was my grandma. She would talk about, I remember there was this joke she had, like, my husband took my son to Hooters, and I was like, Bob didn't take me. It was my stepdad. Like, right? We haven't gone to Hooters. I'd love to go to Hooters.
You're like, it's false. She's telling lies.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because it's like, there's also a generational divide, and I think it's gotten better with us, and she gets it more now. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I think my comedy was like darker in a way, and I think not just that, like I'm a darker person, but I think when you look at like the evolution of comedy, where it was in the late '80s to where it became in the 2000s, and and it's like, yeah, I did watch like George Carlin specials growing up, but then it was like, yeah, seeing Patton Oswalt talking about Star Wars and Pa's egg painting kits and all of that. It's like, and I got to meet him and just tell him, you're the reason like I wanted to do this, which is a fun thing to do to someone. Very intimidating to them. But it was like,
because they're always hoping to God you're good. You know what I mean? Like you don't want them. You don't want somebody bad going out there going, he's the reason I'm doing this. And
well, he's a fan of Roast Battle, and so like that helped. Of like, look, man, I just want you to know. And he's like, oh, awesome. He's like, I like your stuff too. So it was cool. I mean, it was just that I wouldn't say he's the reason. Like there are a lot of reasons, but I think getting to see someone, talk about the nerd shit, like you were saying, like, how do you do it? And, because I mean, the truth is that you feel like a fraud if you don't, like, if you're not being yourself, like, at least I do. Not, and everybody's different. And, some people, their act is an act, and that's what it's supposed to be. But me, it's like, I always, went up there to be me. And so it was like very much like, I talk about comics in real life, and fuck, I'm gonna talk about them on stage. And then I mean, I would have never predicted like the popularity with the movies and everything. Like,
no, me neither.
Nobody knew who the fuck Iron Man was in the '90s. He had the 7 a.m. Marvel Action Hour cartoon with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember, dude. As soon as you said that, the theme song popped in my head. I loved that fucking song. Iron Man. Yeah, that was great. That was
the Fantastic Four theme.
That was a good one too, dude. Do you remember the one where oh god, it's when Galactus comes and all of a sudden they all show up, like it's like Ghost Rider, Thor, and Thing goes, "What is this? A superhero convention?" I fucking, as a kid, that floored me. I was like, "That's comedy."
That's based on like this John Byrne storyline from issue 242 to 244. Where in the comic it's Doctor Strange who does it. He casts a spell on Galactus to see the visions of all the people that he's eaten.
Right.
And then in the show it was Richard Grieco voicing Ghost Rider with the penance stare.
Right. Oh my god, it was so fucking good, dude. That stuff killed me. Yeah, I used to get made fun of all the time. I had that I had the X-Men lunchbox and all this shit, and everybody just fucking. I just remember getting railed for loving superheroes and comic books and stuff. And now I'm just like, yeah, fucking eat it, dude. You're taking your kids to see that shit now.
I know, it's funny. Yeah, it's like, dude, you beat the shit out of me for loving Thanos, and now, but then that's like the purity in me. I'm like, you call them Infinity Gems, not Infinity Stones. We remember where we came from.
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying to hide where we are.
Yeah, I had that fucking it was either Super Nintendo or Sega. I can't remember which system, but I had the one where you could play as Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine, or whatever, and it was
Infinity Gems, War of the Gems.
War of the Gems, that's what it was. I was like, what the fuck was that? Yeah, War of the Gems. I fucking love that. So when they said Stones, I was like, what the fuck?
I know.
But yeah, I know. But whatever. We got a good deal out of it. Have you seen the new Spider-Man trailer?
Yeah.
Are you pumped for it? Are you kind of, how you feel? Because I feel like I've been talking to my friends and they're mixed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we already got a great Spider-Verse movie, so it's like, I loved Into the Spider-Verse, and
me too.
I don't have so much nostalgia for the old Spider-Man movies. It's like,
right,
and I still don't feel, and I know some of this is just a nerd being a nerd, but I feel like there's a great Peter Parker if you take the best parts of all three. Yeah. But we've never seen him in one movie. And it's like I feel that the the Tobey Maguire movies handled, Sam Raimi movies handled the melodrama very well, the Stanley soliloquies and all of that, but they weren't that funny,
right? No, they
and
weren't.
then Mark Webb's stuff with Andrew Garfield was funnier and was breezier, but then the stakes didn't really matter. And then it's like, and now you have him, Tom Holland, and he is funny. He can be sad, but he's not even the star of his own movies.
Right.
And
yeah, exactly.
He's, in the first one, it's all about impressing Tony Stark.
Right.
Then it's all about, the second one's all about living up to Tony Stark now that he's dead. And then this one, it's like the amount of questions that he asked Doctor Strange in the trailer. It's like, I just want to see Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, the only thing that gave me a little hope was they showed like an actual scene from it, and you can hear like, I don't know if you saw the TV spot that it was or whatever, but yeah, he's basically like, that was really awesome, but don't ever do that to me again. I was like, oh, that's cool. He's there. I feel like he's got a little bit more confidence when he speaks, so I'm hoping that's the thing with this one, is that he's not like, he's kind of his own man. Hopefully,
yeah, because the first one, it's like the amount that he bungles.
Yeah,
it's like too much. Like he's the reason the Washington Monument thing happens and the boat and all that. Yeah, he doesn't even like fully figure out how to defeat Vulture. It's like Vulture not understanding his own technology.
Right.
And and so it's just like you're taking away like some of the intelligence of Spider-Man, which was in the Garfield one where he made the but that's like in the Garfield ones, they get obsessed with who his real fucking parents are, but nobody cares. Nobody, it's Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Like, that's your family. They love you. You love them. You're good.
The Garfield ones didn't even make any sense to me, because it was like the end of the first one I thought had prom. I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't mind the lizard stuff. I loved Dennis Leary as Captain George Stacy. I thought he looked just like him. So that was kind of a cool casting thing. And then, but the second one, man, it was like I felt like he cried like 10 times in the movie. By the time he cried at Gwen Stacy's death, I was like, I don't know, dude, you dropped food earlier and you bawled, so I don't really know how much you care about your girlfriend.
But you know what, though? I still think the first 10 minutes of that second movie are the best 10 minutes of a Spider-Man movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was hilarious.
That captured everything. He's trying to figure things out. He's got to think on his own. He's trying to also be Peter Parker. You know,
he's running late.
Yeah, I love it. And it's like, and you look at like the end of Far From Home, and I was excited for that. But when I saw it, I was thinking, how is he going to get out of this? And it's like, oh, he's not. Doctor Strange is going to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's kind of weird, man. But they said he's sticking around for like 3 more movies or something like that. So I don't know. Hopefully they'll go off on his own. But it's like it's a long fucking haul to see what you actually want to see. And I'm not pumped, but like you said, I don't have any nostalgia for like the other movies either. Like they were what we got at the time. It's like I kind of feel the same way about the first X-Men movie, where like I don't think I'd ever like watch it the same way again, but I have a nostalgia for it because it was the first one.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I can't, like you hear the phrase fan service a lot, and it's like, I can't just like a thing because it was in another thing. Like, it's like I wasn't originally like the biggest like Willem Dafoe Green Goblin, so I'm not going to be like, oh my god, he's back. I recognize that, and it's like, I mean, that's what was interesting about seeing the new Ghostbusters is I thought like they earned a lot of it, and it was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And I mean, because there's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it, obviously, of like, what do these things mean in their world?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
These characters,
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping they do it justice, but I think the fans are like setting themselves up for failure. I got somebody pissed off at me because they were like, "Oh, I hope it's Andrew Garfield that dives after MJ." And I'm like, how shitty and lazy would that be for the writers to cop out like that? Like our Spider-Man in this particular movie can't even save his own girlfriend. So one from a dead franchise has to come in and do it. Like, it's just not good character development. And they're like, shut up. Like, they were like losing their minds because they just want their guy.
And I guess like maybe this is like sour grapes a little bit, but it's like the opinion that people see animation as inferior, and that it's like, well, now that they're going to be different Spider-Mans in live action, now it really matters. And it's like, dude, like,
Yeah.
Spider-Verse was really great.
Yeah, it was flawless. It was a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
I think that was the only Sony movie I've liked that came out like superhero wise.
And that was like, and that Peter Parker, that felt like Peter Parker.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then Miles, it's like he's Spider-Man, but in a different way. But like, I feel, like with the MCU ones, like they didn't show Uncle Ben dying, right? And I think their thought was, well, people have seen that so many times.
Mm-hmm.
But what they also didn't do was give him the full responsibility,
right,
of losing Uncle Ben and the guilt of that, and it's like, when you watch the second one in Far From Home, and I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, and he's fighting Mysterio, and there's the hallucination, and the hand pops out of the grave, like that should be nobody but Ben.
Absolutely.
And it's Tony Stark because that's who matters, but it's like, no, it should be Ben.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And it's weird that like they didn't even think that through in terms of like they never have him mention him. They never have him think about him. They don't even have him say with great power, none of it.
So he just says like someone I love got hurt or something. He says like something in Civil War that.
Oh yeah, he does.
Like, you got it.
Yeah. And cut. We're good.
Yeah.
Who do you think was the best Uncle Ben?
I'm gonna go with I'll go with Martin Sheen. I mean,
me too.
That's the thing, is that like I feel like a lot of people where they like write off an entire movie if they don't like a few things in it, but it's like Sally Field was great as Aunt May.
Sure.
Emma Stone was really good as Gwen Stacy. Like those films did have some merit.
Yeah. They were just choppy, which is the same way I felt about Eternals. Like there were some parts I loved about Eternals. I thought Kingo, I was a big Kingo fan.
Yeah.
And his what was it? Butler? What the fuck was his?
The
like chauffeur,
his manager.
Yeah.
That guy was fantastic. They were great together.
They really were. They fucking saved the movie for me because I didn't really. Did you like it? I didn't really like it.
I like parts of it, and it was like, it's funny. Like I'm friends with Kumail, not nice. Like super close, but we've done shows together and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's like, it's so cool to me, like this guy that like I knew like ago doing comedy as an action figure and as a superhero, and it's like, and I saw him last night just like briefly, but I was like, dude, man, you're the best part of that movie. Like you really nailed it. And he was like, oh, thanks. And I'm autistic. I can't lie. I'm unable to. So, he was like, oh man, because it really, and to the point where when, I think they were trying to do something new, like the whole thing of like, all right, so we're going to have a hero who doesn't want to fight in the third act, and he's just not going to be in the third act.
Right.
But then it's like, no, you really needed him in the third act.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really thought he was going to come back. The fact that he didn't, I was just like, every moment I was like, this is where he comes in. And then it didn't happen. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
By the way, I realized the irony of like not spoiling Sopranos episodes from 16 years ago, but then being like,
I noticed we just breezed through that, but I was like, I'm going to allow it. That was great. It was all right. I mean, I don't like, I think there were parts of it I like. I don't know if it's a bias on my end where I'm like, I didn't hate it as much as I hate like DC shit. Like, and I get genuinely disappointed in it because I want them to be good because I don't dislike those characters. I just get like really bummed out when they're like not done well and I can't wrap my head around why. So then this one I was like, oh, some of it was cool. But I also like, I hope they're not going in the direction where they just kind of pluck like super famous people. You know what I mean? Like Robert Redford, super famous guy, but did that job extremely well in Winter Soldier, like didn't make a big deal out of it, came in and out, like did, it was cool to see him. But I feel like Angelina Jolie, like, I don't know, like, I kept watching stuff leading up to it, and she was like, "I did ballet to make sure that the character was," and I was like, "I saw none of that in the movie." Like, yeah, I don't get any of that shit.
Yeah,
So, you know,
I mean, it all depends. It is, but it is funny, like where we were talking about like the bullies and stuff who love this stuff now, and like
yeah,
even like I mean, just the hilarity that like there's people on calling their agent and being like, "Get me that Dazzler audition." If
yeah.
anyone's gonna be Paste Pot Pete, it's me. And they're like serious, like
Yeah.
someone got fired because they didn't, get someone to audition as Stiltman. Like, fucking love it.
Yes. Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's cool that they're all fighting over it. I love that every now and again journalists will get super lazy and ask a really obscure famous director what they think, and it's like, of course you're gonna know what they think. They're like, they're pushing 70 and they don't like that their movies aren't being seen or they perceive it. You know what I mean? Like, just asked Jane, this
Jane
is
Champion or
yeah,
Campion.
Jane
Yeah.
Campion or whatever, what she thought. She was like, hate
And
him.
Ridley Scott too, yeah.
And Ridley Scott, yeah. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Give me a break.
Yeah, it's also because it's like you do things a certain way, and then the studio now tells you, no, but we like this better. Like, yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna annoy you. I get their bitterness, but it's also like you just want one of like the thing that I don't like is the blanket statement of it all, or it's
Yeah.
like you cannot watch Thor 2 and Thor 3 and tell me that's the same movie
Right.
and give the same
Agreed.
criticism to both. You can't.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I don't think you can. It's like, and if you were gonna like love Jojo Rabbit or Hunt for the Wilder People or
Yeah.
What We Do
So
in
good.
Shadows, but then say that Thor Ragnarok is not a part of Taika Waititi's filmography or path as an artist, like, that's insane to me because it clearly is.
Right. Yeah, it's weird that they kind of draw these bizarre lines too, and I hate the idea that when people say like, oh, it's like it's a fad or it's a western or we've seen too much of it. I'm like, have you seen too much of rom-coms or Guidos in shiny suits, whispering at a table about murdering people? Have you seen enough of that? Because that's like ad nauseum, and every Scorsese film is exactly that, and some people love that shit, and I don't think there's any,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, if The Irishman isn't his Snyder cut, I don't know what it is.
That's
yeah,
true.
exactly.
Yeah, it's also it's like, and some of those I was like, they get their big chance. It's like, yeah, hey Marty, you're just upset kids didn't want to go see Hugo.
Yeah, that was a piece of shit. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I feel like I can't stand when people are like, "Oh, I can't get into it," and I'm like, "Well, have you seen it?" And they're like, "No, no," but I don't know. The gems and the magic, and I don't. I just do a bit where I was like, when people can't take themselves out of reality, supposedly, and go see like a movie like Endgame or anything like that with the Infinity Stones. I'm like, you kidding me? Like, all of this shit is made up. You know what I mean? Like the Democrats and Republicans cast spells. They just call them bills, and then every 4 years, one of them casts it for one and blocks the other one's magic spell, and then we're fucked for the next. It's the same shit.
I will say though that like the entry level now, it's like it is pretty hilarious. Like you go to these movies, and I always wear a comic shirt and stuff, and it's like
Me too. Yeah.
people are like, you know who that is at the end credits, right? Like, it's like, because now the end credits expect you to watch the TV shows too, and
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
it's. I mean, I love it. Just seeing all these characters on screen. But I also get the dauntingness of it, and I also get anyone who's like any time pop culture decides like this is the way to do things. We should only do it this way. Yeah, that sucks, and you're gonna lose a lot of great stuff because of it.
Totally. And yeah, the end credits thing is hilarious. The end of Eternals or whatever, when you hear that guy's voice, it was like me and somebody else. We all got it wrong. I was like, my one friend, it was like, it was Nick Fury. I'm like, I know Sam Jackson's voice. It's not Nick Fury. And then somebody was like, oh, it's the dude who plays the Watcher from the,
I thought
Hunger
it was
Games.
Jeffrey Wright, yeah.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, it's Jeffrey Wright. And then I got home and found out it was fucking played. And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
I did not.
I never needed to read one of those articles, and I had to for that.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Why is Blade there? I'm like, what does that even matter? Like, it's so weird.
And then Star Fox shows up. It's like it's Thanos' brother, and then like this one person's like, but why isn't he purple? That's a fair question.
It is. It totally is. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Well, because Thanos is the deviant and all that,
right,
so
and he's the eternal.
Sense, but...
yeah. To them, and I'm saying it to them, and they're like, it doesn't make any sense, and it's like I know, but then you got to explain it. And I do. Do you enjoy explaining it to your friends who don't understand? Because I kind of like it.
I do to a point
because
it's also like, and I might be overly self-conscious of how rambly I can be, or like or how like it's also like I'm cripplingly self-aware sometimes where I could just say the thing, but then I'm also like realizing the absurdity of it and needing to make fun of that too.
Right.
So the explanation ends up getting longer.
Yep.
Because it's like a lot of this stuff, you want it to all be simplified and streamlined, and with characters that have been around 80 years, 60 years, and monthly publications. It's just not going to happen with a bunch of different writers and artists. And so it's like you can't talk about the trajectory of Spider-Man over the last 60 years the way you can about the 5 seasons of Breaking Bad. I mean, you could try.
Yeah.
But it is like, all right, and then we go back to now there's another issue 1, and now there's this, and now there's that. Like, because that makes it harder for me. And I mean, I still love comics and I'll read new stuff every once in a while. But the renumbering thing, it's like I loved as a kid, like, all right, so the first issue I read is 357, and there's 356 before this I haven't read, and they're there for me, but I could start with this one. And
I know, it's crazy, man. One of my friends is like has never stopped reading comics. I mean, like I tried not, I tried to keep up, but I would fall off of the whole thing and like forget whatever. But anytime I'm like confused about something that pops up, because then I also follow these accounts online that like post pages of comic books, but they don't post everything. So I'll read something and I'm like, what the fuck happened here? So-and-so's dead now. You know what I mean? Like, and I go to him, and I like that he's my comic book resource. I'm like, what happened here? He's like, well, and he like pushes up the glasses and then like starts like getting into it. And I try to catch up, but it's impossible.
Yeah. And it's like the amount that they change or undo, or like, it's like Amanda Waller was heavy set for years, and then they just started drawing her thin. And you're like, okay.
I know, out of the blue.
Like, I can't explain that, like I know that like when Barbara Gordon debuted, and I know she became Batgirl, and I know that she got shot, and that she was then in a wheelchair, but now she's not in a wheelchair. Like,
exactly. And they're like, oh,
stem cells.
Exactly. That's how you have to write that off. Oh my God. Was it cool for you to, because I know this is going a ways back, but I know like your comedy kind of also got you into Marvel, like studio, like you actually got to go to Marvel, right?
I got to go to the offices. Yeah.
Was that kind of a cool moment for you?
Like, oh yeah. I mean, the coolest thing to me was like, they told me that Flo Steinberg still showed up once a week, and she was like the Stanley's like secretary.
Wow.
In the height of the bullpen in the 60s, and like all of that. And it's like, it's like she kind of still works. It's like a fun thing for her to just do. Like, she's really old, and
that's so awesome.
And I didn't get to see that, but like stuff like that is cool. And and I got to go to the DC Comics offices, and this was just knowing like comic creators, and them being like, you want to go? And I'm like, yes. Who are fans of comedy and stuff. And it was like, I went to the DC one, and getting to hold an Action Comics #1 in my hand, I cried.
Oh my God. No, I would have too, dude. That's so awesome, man.
I got very emotional, and then he was like, "You want to see this?" And it was a Mr. Freeze gun from Batman Ron. I also cried about that.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
That's so fucking cool, dude. Somebody said that they still had the original costume for Nicholas Hammond's Spider-Man, and I probably would do the same thing if I got to see that, or even like, that'd be fucking great, man.
You gotta, it's like it's better to care too much than not care at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and I guess you could care enough, but I don't know how to do that. Well,
I
too
know, I'm the
much it
same
is.
way. It's either up here or down, or it's one or the other.
Yeah.
There's no really in between for me. Yeah,
I'm a fat guy. I don't know what a medium is.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's like I remember, like, you know, my dad when I was a kid too. At one point, like, not the greatest dad in the world either, but I remember he was in New York and we were not. And he said he met Spider-Man in Toys R Us and got me his signature. You know, that was before cell phones or anything like that.
Nice.
So he
Yeah.
couldn't even. So I was blown away. But I also knew my dad well enough to be like, I don't know, he could be full of shit or whatever. And then he came back. You know, I mean, like, everything fell off the truck. So I don't know. He could be completely you know, whatever. But it came back with a Spider-Man trading card that they were giving out. There was a Spider-Man in Toys R Us. And he was,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And he went up to him and he's like, can you sign this for my kid? And he did. The dude who did it signed it Spider-Man, and I still have it. And it's a, you know, it's not.
I remember I had a friend. This was like late 2000s, I think, and he was auditioning for the role of like Spider-Man at the Toys R Us.
Oh my god.
And he was like, "What can you tell me about Spider-Man?" And I was like, "How long you got?" it's like I think he thought that like knowing the history would help.
Right.
It's like all they wanted was just someone who looks athletic in the costume.
Yeah. You're like, dude, bend like this, move like that. Come on,
Yeah.
just do. That's how you shoot the webs.
Yeah. Do you have any yoga history?
I wanted web. Do you see that stuff online now where people are actually making web shooters and stuff?
Yeah.
That's fucking phenomenal. That's crazy to me. I love that shit. I know it's like, you know, magnetic or ropes or whatever they're doing, but I don't know. I'm hoping.
Yeah, and everyone who's doing that, it's like, just let them do it. That's one less bomb being made.
Yeah. You think it's just distracting them? That's pretty great. That's a service in and of itself. Well, dude, I kept you for yeah, it's almost been an hour, dude. Holy shit. I gotta ask you 2 questions that we ask. Unless you can, if you want to stick around, but if you gotta go, like, we can keep talking, whatever you want to do. But
time flew.
It did flow. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, that's what happens when you talk about comics, man. But
your life passes by without you realizing
it. I would love it if there was some effect where we both just aged.
It's like Sandman, like at the end of Spider-Man 3. It's just...
That's another thing too, by the way. This is really nerdy, but you know, Doc Ock is saying you're fighting ghosts. The Lizard didn't die, and Sandman didn't die, and I don't think Electro did. So it's just him and fucking Goblin. That's it. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
But it's like Sandman was good at the end.
Yeah, exactly. He was a great guy. I don't think it's Thomas Hayden Church coming back, is it?
It's got to be. I mean, you know, all you saw was the big face, but it looked like him.
Yeah, and the big face just looked like Imhotep from fucking The Mummy. So I was like, every universe is getting in.
Yeah, they finally got that. You know, Tom Cruise Mummy dark universe they wanted.
Oh my god,
that's the thing too. See, that's why directors like hate the comic movies, because they're like, now we all got to do universes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, one, you shouldn't, and it's like, make a good movie first, and then we'll see.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like I can't believe they took that risk with Dune, where they were like, you know, like, yeah, if the first one does well, we'll make a second, but they left it at the end like that, where I was like, they don't know if they're gonna make a second, and they were like, no, not yet.
Dude, they opened with it because it's like, they advertised it as Dune, and then all the posters just said Dune, and then the first shot you see is Dune Part 1.
Right.
And I was like, oh.
I know, it was kind of ambitious. They were like, we know. And I was like, oh, I fucking hope it does well.
Yeah, you're here for 2.5 hours, and you ain't getting no satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the tip.
Yeah, it was a really long trailer, and it was it was beautiful.
It was 2.5 hours of edging.
Oh my god, that's perfect. That's the best review I've seen for Dune.
Yeah,
it's the most honest. You're right. You can't lie. It's the most.
But I think what I posted was like, yeah, it's a trailer for the next Dune movie. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Now I want to see Dune 2.
Yeah, me too. I can't. We said we have to fucking wait like 2 years for it.
Yeah.
I
You
just
gotta
hope they
wait for
don't.
them to make it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, come on, guys, stop fucking around.
Zendaya, can you move your schedule around so I can get Dune faster, please? Mr. Chalamet, Mr. Chalamet, I want you to drop everything. If you love someone, don't love them no more. For the next 6 hours or 6 months, you're in House Atreides, and that's it. There's sandworms and bagels at craft services, and that's it.
I'm gonna clip just that out and make sure they see it somehow. I'm gonna dedicate the rest of this month to making sure the two of them get this message.
I want you to have nothing but vengeance for Duncan, Idaho, for the next year of your life.
Oh my god, I love it. Oh fuck. So are you got any gigs coming up? Are you going out on the road yet?
No, not really. I think I'm gonna come out to New York.
Cool.
In the next few months and do some shows and stuff. It's
sweet.
Yeah, I've just been a homebody and stuff, and just doing my podcast Wrestle Roast with Dan St. Germain, Scott Chaplin, and this guy who used to write for WWE, Robert Karpelis. He gives like the inside track on how the fake sausage is made.
Nice.
It's really fun. And we pick a different wrestler every week. We talk about why they're great. And then we roast them. And then
have you done Jake the Snake yet? Because that was my favorite when I was a kid.
No, because it could be a memorial episode halfway through. So we record on the problem is that we record on a Thursday and then we release it the next morning, and he could die in between that time.
Yeah.
Very, very possibly. So we have not done Jake the Snake yet. But yeah, I mean,
that's so great.
He's amazing, and he came back like a couple of years ago, like the new promotion AEW. He came back as a manager, and it's like it's that thing of like now he's like clean, but he clearly like the drugs helped him a little bit creatively.
Absolutely,
for sure,
yeah.
But it's like, you're like, I'm glad you're healthier, so that's good.
It is said exactly. Hey, I'm glad it worked out for you, but you're boring as shit.
But it's also funny because he's like, he was like he came, he's like in his 60s, so he came back as a manager, but he's like really tall, so he's bigger than everyone else.
Oh my god, I know. The size comparison is hilarious. It fucking cracks me up. I had all the action figures when I was a kid. See, to me, that dude was a superhero because I think in my head when I had the action figures, I just made him talk to the snake. So I just I took it like another whole level.
The stupid wire. Oh, I was gonna say the stupid wire in that snake used to come out. So you used to have to get a new one when you were a kid. It was so annoying.
It was the fucking worst.
They made him in real life take care of the snake. So like the snake died.
Oh, Damien.
Like, the guys back then had to like care for the animals and travel with them and stuff.
I had no idea. I didn't really think that at all. I thought they handed it to him when he got there, and he was like, "All right."
Yeah, they should have, but no.
Yeah,
I mean, it's non-union stuff. No ASPCA or whatever. Yeah,
there was like a real life Tiger King situation going on with all those wrestlers and their animals.
Yeah, I think one of them died of malnutrition. I used to do a bit about it where it's like, he just has a stick-it note that says "feed the snake," but to him that just means another orgy. It's time to feed the snake.
That's so great. Oh my god, I had no idea, man. See, this is why I got to listen to the. When you do it, I want to know because I want.
Oh yeah, man. We found out Sergeant Slaughter was never in the military.
What?
Oh wow.
Stolen valor, baby. Yeah.
Wow.
Never in the military.
Oh my god.
Here's the thing, right? All right. Yeah. So the real guy is Bob Remus. The character is Sergeant Slaughter, and. That's okay, but he talks about having served.
Yeah, of course. So he
and it's like I don't even think he knows the line between Bob and Sarge anymore. And he's like, I was in Vietnam and all that. And it's just like it's such a weird thing. Like,
yeah.
That is like weird. That's a mental condition, right? Where you tell a lie long enough that you believe it becomes your reality.
And it's also it's like I mean, that was, he came up in the 70s, 80s, and wrestling was, you protected the gimmick at all cost.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's like, people can look stuff up and, and people tell their stories. It's like,
Right.
you just get like, a few, there's like a military expert who, like, it's the government. There's a list of names of people who served and people who,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially like if you get someone in a lie of like, yeah, I served in this battalion and this and that, and it's like that's the easiest thing to prove or disprove.
Yeah. Would you ever have any of them on?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them like it. Like I've heard like there's like a few wrestlers that listen to us and they're fans and all that.
Oh, nice.
Because I mean, we do it with love, and it's like except for the ones we hate, but
I was gonna say, are you friendly with Rob Bartlett by any chance?
No, but I know of his story, and it's amazing to me.
Yeah, we got to put you guys in touch. He's a friend of the show, so I feel
absolutely. Yeah,
that's amazing to me. I listened to an interview I think he did with Sam Roberts about his time there, and it's like, as someone in show business, you're like, yeah, you just got booked for like a crazy gig, and you did the gig, and then the gig was over. Like, and he's like, yeah, I wasn't right for this. This was stupid, and I did what they asked me to do.
Yeah, we could put you in touch with Rob. He's a great dude. I'll text him.
Because it is funny, like the way people get like mad, as somebody like that, or like like Jake Lloyd got picked on.
Oh yeah,
like picked on. Like it's like. Yeah, this is an amazing role that anyone would have taken if they, if they went out for it. Like if they had any, if you're a child actor and you get cast in episode 1 as like young Darth Vader and stuff, like he didn't write the words.
Exactly. It's so funny, man. I know they really people go. That's why what I hate when they do it. I hate when they call people who do that kind of shit fans, because I want to be like, they're not fans. Fans just like the thing. They go to see it. They come home. They're happy with it, whatever. These people are maniacs. Like, maybe they're like the true form of what a fanatic is supposed to be. But like, I feel like, because I'm a fan, but I don't do that shit. I'm not going to pick on a kid.
Like, I think it's also you can be critical of the work, but like when it crosses into that line of like, are you just like, the woman who, Kelly Marie Tran, who was, in episode 8, and got off social media because it's like, and they're like mad at her.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I mean a lot of it is misogynistic and racist, but it's like, you came into my movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, I did the job that was asked of me, and she did it really well, and then she was like barely in the next one, and I just it made me like episode 9 less. It made me like, it was like, because it also felt like they were giving into those trolls.
Me too, man. I felt the same way. I will not. I don't want to even acknowledge that. Rise of Skywalker as a fucking movie. I'd rather just go and end with the Rian Johnson one and leave it at that.
And the amount of people that hated that, and it's like, I like that he took risk. I like that it was. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I like the ambition of it. I like some of the shots, and there's like cool ideas, and it is funny because it's like Finn and Rose, like, that's her name, right? Rose Tico, I think.
Yeah.
Finn and Rose. It's like they're the most enthusiastic characters in that whole world. They're as excited to be working with every character in their universe as people are to watch them. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It was really, it was kind of weird. Like, and that's another thing too, is I don't understand. People were disappointed in the Rian Johnson one because they were like, that's not the Luke we know. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Every major Jedi runs and hides at the end of their fucking that's their thing. They brood, they put themselves in exile. He just followed suit. What the,
Yeah, it also felt, it's like, oh yeah, he actually was in a war, and I liked it because it's like, what the part of the problem is, all of the stuff that has happened to Luke is just, well, obviously it's canon, but it's like, it's talked about so much, you know, the Luke, I am your father, but like
Yeah.
we never talk about like someone emotionally processing that
Yeah.
and what that would do to their psyche and
Sure.
finding out you had this long lost sister and all of this different stuff. And,
And
you
he
know,
tried
it's
to
like,
fuck her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that would, and yeah, but all of that would mess you up.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, you might run off into a swamp.
and yeah, it's weird, man. I thought even the acting was kind of crap. Like in the last one, they kind of wrap stuff up like really fucking quickly. Like, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Ray's like, I'm not worthy of this. And then like 15 seconds later, she's like, all right, I'll take it. You know, like you know, the
Well,
woman
I
gives
mean,
it.
it's you know, it's hard to criticize in a way because it was very, you know, I mean, I was saying by like fan service and all that. Like sometimes it's
Yeah.
good, sometimes it's bad, and it's like,
It's like he had a checklist and he literally did go down
well,
it like,
you
all
know,
right,
it's
we're
like
gonna.
that Seinfeld thing, right?
Mhm.
When Kramer is the movie phone guy, it's like, why don't you just tell
Yeah.
me what Star Wars movie you want to see? Like that's what it feels like, you know, where he's
Yeah.
just like, all right, you want the Emperor? Here's the Emperor. You want this? Here's this. Like,
Yeah.
here it is for you. It doesn't have to make sense. We weren't building to it, but here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
Yeah. One of my
You know,
favorite moments in that whole thing is when the Emperor literally tells, you know, what's his fucking name? Adam Driver's character,
Kylo Ren. Yeah.
Kylo Ren, that he's more powerful than him, and then literally in the next breath explains how he, the Emperor, survived being pushed down the hole, and then pushes Kylo Ren down the same hole. And I was like, well, if he's more clearly, the hole doesn't work, dude.
That's it. I mean, it's like there's that great sketch too, Key and Peele, the sequel Doctor,
Oh, I don't
where
think I've
it's
seen that one.
oh dude, it's amazing. It's like it's Jordan Peele. He comes in as this guy who comes in to make help make Gremlins 2, and he asks everybody like what they want to see.
Right.
And and everything they say, he's like, it's in the movie. It's in the movie. You know, like Electric Gremlin, you know, Lady Gremlin, and all that. I mean, there's a lot of punchlines in there. I don't want to give away, but it's really funny.
Oh, that's great.
You know, not gonna spoil the Eternal. You know, I'll spoil the Eternals. Not gonna spoil Key and Peele story. But it is like, but watch. I mean, watch that sketch.
Yeah.
And then like watch modern movies and it feels like that's what happens sometimes.
I think you just solidified a new rule on the first rule on Dystopia tonight now, which is going to be you cannot spoil any movies from the 80s or 90s, but anything today goes. That's going to be the new rule because I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it look good. You know, there's lots of people who haven't seen Casablanca, but everyone saw Parasite. So, you know.
One of the worst spoiler things that I've ever heard happen to my grandfather. He was watching Poseidon Adventure. He had never seen it, didn't see it in the movies. You know, he's got my mom and her siblings or whatever, but they're out of the house, so he's watching it finally by himself, and he's got it. And telemarketer was calling, so he calls and he picks up the phone and he's like, "No, but I don't want it, whatever." Hangs up. Phone rings again. It's the same guy because he just wants to keep his job. So he's like, listen, like, you just got to hear me out. Or whatever. He's like, dude, he didn't say dude, but he was like, I'm watching a movie. You know, I really don't have time right now. It's getting towards the end. You know, I'm not interested. And he goes, well, what movie are you watching? He goes, Poseidon Adventure. And he goes, Gene Hackman dies in the end. And my grandfather's like, no. Like just he was like, my uncle, my mom and my uncle and my aunt were just like, he was cursing till they got home that day, like just fuck.
I remember I guess I'll leave with this.
Yeah.
But this is an amazing story. My mom told me about this gig that she did where it was her and her friend. A movie theater wanted people to they had comedians before the movie.
Oh my god.
Which, you know, like I think unprompted.
Yeah.
Like you imagine like going to a movie and then just a comic shows up. Like it's funny.
Wow.
The ArcLight in LA it closed recently, sadly, but they always have these, like they would always have these hosts, and they're like, you know, like I'm my name's Jeff, and I'm presenting the movie for you, and here's the exits, and the movie is this long, and if you need anything, I'm here to make sure it runs smoothly. Like that person getting it like causes me so much anxiety. Like for like the 30 seconds, I'm like, why does Jupiter Ascending need a host? It could bring itself up. But yeah, so yeah, she told me like she did this gig where it was like her and a friend, and they were at the beginning of like Fatal Attraction.
Oh my god.
And so people are about to watch like this like movie about like this insane person with like a rabbit that dies and like all this violence and shit, and here's comedy, and people start like heckling her friend, and then the friend just gives the movie away.
Oh
wow,
that is so fucking good. Oh my god,
I don't think they had comedy there for much longer.
Right. Oh my god, that is great. That'll fucking learn them. Oh, that's great. I got to ask you 2 questions before you leave. We ask every guest. Okay. If you can go back in time, talk to your younger self, and give yourself a piece of advice that would help you today, what would it be?
I think it would be none of it matters as much as you think.
Nice. I agree.
And it just like, and also because it also has to be advice that I think younger me might understand.
Yeah, you don't get too detailed.
I think like, look, like, don't let a career define you. Don't let any one thing define you, and fight for happiness.
Nice. And the last question is, what had to end in your life, be it good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
Slam poetry.
Beautiful. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I got one more quick question, only because my wife was writing us in the comments. So she said she loved while you were on Crashing. She was like, like, loved them because we used to watch that show together. And she's like, what did you like take from that show? She was like, I wish it was re-signed. She doesn't understand why it wasn't. And like, did you enjoy the experience with it?
Yeah, I wrote on the last season, and it was interesting because like, in a writer's room, like getting to share stand-up experiences, and even like, I talked about my mom in the writer's room, and what comedy was like back then, and the steak restaurant gig and the movie theater gig and stuff like that. And it was I mean, I think working on that show kind of validated the real shit years of my life. Like I think there's like, there's an episode where he's working at a Cold Stone, and I worked at like a Pinkberry. I saw restaurants in LaGuardia at 4 a.m.
Right.
And so like seeing those aspects and being able to add to it, and on the show, Judd and Pete were always about authenticity and like getting it right, and what is this actually like. And the episode that I co-wrote was like the one where they go on the road, and it's like Dove Davidoff's character is like the headliner.
Yes.
And Pete's like, the opener, and then the Jamie Lee character is like the host. And that was just fun. Like, I think, my favorite thing I put in the show, because it was just such a real experience, is, and I mean, this happens to everybody, but when you show up and nobody knows who you are, where like the employees don't know who you are. And it's like, and I get it. Like, there's a new comic every week, and, we're disposable, and they're just doing their job and making money. But there is something like about the ego that just like, that hurts.
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm a headliner, and then, excuse me, sir. Especially like when you are next to the poster of yourself at the comic. And so there's a scene that like, I think that happens where someone stops Dove, and and he's like, that's me right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's so true, man.
And you felt it. Like, you felt it in the scene too, because he's like, all that work. So good, man. We really appreciate you coming on with us tonight, man. So much
thanks,
fun.
man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Dystopia tonight.